Leave no tossed dwarf behind.
This is the person who makes playoffs every year.
It's over there with McFadden's hands on Hillers.
Are you making fun of me?
I think it was one of those things where, hey, let me ride this while it's going here. That's what she said.
You're the only one I know that does that to themselves, Merrill.
That's what she said?
Oh, see, now that was appropriate. Somebody else says something and you can do it.
Here we go.
Happy National Apple Dumpling Day, everybody, and welcome back to the Sandlotcast, the podcast about our uber competitive fantasy football league, and it's all about that base this week. With me this week, I've got Hillers. What's going on, Hillers?
Was that an opening line? That was terrible. He crammed that in there. Not too much. I'm doing okay. I'm doing better than Adrian Peterson is doing, I can tell you that much.
Oh, yeah?
How dare you talk about Adrian after all he's been through? He lost his job. He went through ACL surgery. He has at least 7 kids. He's a human. What you don't realize is that Adrian is earning me all of these fantasy points. And all you do is run a bunch of crap about him. He hasn't performed on the field in days. He's on my team for a reason. And all I want is more. You're lucky he doesn't take a switch to you bastards! Leave Adrian alone! Please!
So it's been a while since we've seen Anthony. He appears to be really broken up about the
He's
Adrian
having a
Peterson
tough
bit.
time. Dark times in the Porcelli household.
But I'd like to welcome Anthony back to the podcast. Hopefully he can gather himself and get himself together here for
Do
the rest.
Best.
Yeah.
That was
But-
tough. That was tough for me.
That was tough. It was good. I'm sure you'll go viral.
Yeah. That was my Chris Crocker impression for everyone.
Right.
I hope you enjoyed it.
It was good, man. So
Would
Anthony,
you have known,
we missed you
would
last
you have
week,
known
man.
who that was, Merrill? If he'd have just said that's my Chris Crocker without you having seen it, would you know the name Chris Crocker? No, me
I
neither.
still don't know who that is. So.
Not in a million years.
Leave Brittany alone?
I remember the Leave Britney Alone thing. I get that, yeah. But
Yeah.
Well, that's,
I'll have to
Pretty
do an NFL song to the tune of Chocolate Rain or something next week.
okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Chocolate
So last week, where was I last week?
You were playing softball.
I was playing softball last week. Yeah, we lost.
How many
Yeah.
muscles did you tear?
All of them.
Give or take.
What's funny is when you said Nick was your standard sub fill-in, I thought you actually had written substandard fill-in, which I think might be more.
Hey-o, shots fired at Nick.
Oh, burn across the bow.
Yeah.
Anthony
Yeah,
does
he
not
does
want to be
suck.
Wally pipped.
No. So
Can you do that, it's Hillers, huh?
No.
I think you guys did a pretty good job. I listened to the podcast. I had maybe just one little qualm with what Hiller said about having to spend all your money in week 1, but
I didn't spend
He was
it all. That is not
Yeah,
what I
spend
said.
it all. This is the beginning of the first week is when you get all your value, guys. What are you
Yeah, but
talking
it's
about?
not value if you spend all your money. If you spend it all, that's not very valuable at all. I mean,
All
that's,
right.
It's too much.
Well, you've said worse things, Hiller, so I won't hold you.
And I'll say worse, probably this podcast, I'll say worse things than that.
Well, some of the feedback we got about Nick was that he started out by saying, don't get too cute with your lineup in week 1. And then he talked about how he got too cute with his lineup in week 1 later in the podcast, and then he was telling people that maybe they should get more cute with their lineup. Like he was all over the place on that particular front.
Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10 on Nick's podcasting, 1 being the worst, and 10 being I don't know, where's Nick?
And 5 being the best.
And
Yeah.
5 being the best.
You get it? Because that's what Nick said.
Yes, that was
Come
the
on,
most
guys. Come on,
incomprehensible
guys.
point scale.
Come on.
10 being and 5 being the best.
Yeah.
I guess it's a 7 then.
Yeah, 6.5. I don't know where I landed. How can you be wrong? That's the benefit of that point scale.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep.
Unless you pick one of those 3 numbers exactly, whatever you said is meaningless.
All right, well, let's get into this. Let's quickly Nick
Good
back in
job,
here
Nick.
for a few minutes.
Good job,
And,
podcast Levitar.
By the way, Nick, thanks for filling in last week. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're motivated to do it again next
Yeah.
time.
But so yeah, standings are starting to shape up a little bit, guys. Last week we kind of did a new format. We're going to try to stick somewhat to that this week, and we've all kind of brought some discussion points. We'll try to hit a little more on our league. I think we didn't maybe do that enough last week, so we'll try to kind of hit specific points about our league. I'll go through some news for some players out there, and we'll do a power rankings, and then we'll do predictions, and that should close it out. So. First of all, let's start out with some news here, guys. So, the big news today was Wes Welker is back. I know that's a big one for Andy. Yeah.
Who's it for, Mike?
No, I'm sorry. I was looking for it on the page. No, for the Weenie. So that's a big one for him. I mean, he's struggling, sitting at 0-3. That's a pretty big, basically free agent pickup that he got this week.
It's an elegant return.
Yeah. So that's nice. Josh Gordon, Evan picks up Josh Gordon, and immediately his suspension gets reduced to 10 games.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what's he having for? The playoffs, I guess.
The playoffs, which he'll be in.
Yeah, because he's always in them.
I made some trade offers too. It doesn't seem like he wants to let him go.
No, why would he?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really need anything at this point.
No, he doesn't.
So,
As usual.
It's hard to upgrade him. But so that's good. Adrian Peterson, you guys may have heard of. He's on something called like the commissioner's exempt list. So like he's on the team, but he's not on the team, and he's
exempt from
so
what?
So is Jonathan Dwyer. Don't just put Adrian Peterson in the hole, please.
What are they exempt from?
Playing
Playing?
Stuff.
and probably smoking weed as well.
Yeah, well, they better not do that. That's like the worst thing you can do.
That's the worst.
Yeah, 10 games immediately for that one. And so yeah, that's a big one. I mean, Anthony, that's like he's obviously your number one pick. Your franchise. Well, not your franchise guy, but
Not at that price.
Your top dog on your team there, man. How you coping with it?
Well, did you see that skit that I just did a little bit earlier?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm doing all right.
That mascara was running pretty hard.
It was.
It was. It's not easy to lose your number one running back and also the guy that you spent nearly all of your draft money on. It happens, I suppose.
It does.
I did get lucky.
Toby Gerhart. It could be worse.
I mean, on the flip side, I got lucky twice, right? I got lucky with Bernard Pierce, and I got lucky with Kiri Robinson because now Mark Ingram's out for some time. So
That's true.
you win some and you lose some. Maybe Kiri will be the bomb.
Your team can definitely absorb. If there's any team in the league that can absorb that kind of hate, yours is one of them for sure. Maybe the best team for that.
I kind of disagree about I mean, I don't think I'll retain the number one power ranking losing a guy like Adrian Peterson, but a strong start and still a good team, I'm okay. But it just puts me out of the elite, the number one elite slot now, I think.
I don't know, man. There's some pretty bad teams in our league. I was trying to do power rankings. It's tough.
Well, they're not in our division. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
No, our division is hard.
Jamal Charles, another top 5 running back coming into the year. Some people picked him number 1 overall, but he is out with a high ankle sprain, and no one really knows how long he's going to be out. There's talk that he may even be able to come back this week, which would be insane, and is not going to happen because he's on my team. But so far, Jamal Charles, my franchise player, has given me 4.5 points and a high ankle sprain, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Good.
And RG3, Hillers, your boy, RG3, dislocated ankle.
Yeah.
Fell to the curse of Brett.
I don't know if you guys saw that video. I mean,
I did once.
yeah. That leg was not anywhere near the shoe. It's like the foot and the leg were 2 different entities.
Yeah, so, and Brett started him because he had to, because Carson Palmer is his other quarterback. So, and Carson Palmer's now out for a while. So I'm thinking Brett's probably in the market for a quarterback on waivers this week. Whoever's playing
Or
against
on
him.
my team, Brett. Check your
Yeah.
trade offers.
But also, what's his face is out there, so Brett will just have to bet big again on Kirk Cousins, I think.
Kirk Cousins. Should have handcuffed RG3. Hillers, you had it, man.
Absolutely. That took no time at all. And Kirk Cousins might be the starter there by the time RG3 makes his way back in.
I always handcuff my mediocre quarterback on a mediocre team.
I'd rather have
That's
Kirk
a
Cousins.
viable fantasy strategy. AJ Green, Nick's boyfriend, AJ Green, another guy who went down. It was crazy on Sunday. There was like a 10-minute period where I swear like 8 of the top 10 players went down with an injury. Like Des Bryant went down briefly, AJ Green, Jamal Charles is crazy. But yeah, so AJ Green has a sprained toe ligament. Do we think Nick's team is going to take a big hit because of this?
Well, let me transition into one of my topics that you mentioned there, Merrill. I got a little game for you guys, and you mentioned the big four right away that I had here. Rank these losses to their teams over the course of the season. Okay, RG3, Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles, AJ Green.
I guess I'll start.
Go for it.
Why the heck not? So in last place, so the least impactful is RG3 to Brett because his team is injured all over the place, so it's not like it matters anyway.
I think that's probably consensus on that one. Yeah.
Interesting take on that one. What if his team was healthy? Would it still be last?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think it's
so
so
next,
because he's the easiest to replace.
Next, I think I would say Adrian Peterson for me, even though it's devastating and heartbreaking. Next is because I think that I could absorb it. Next is AJ Green for Nick. Nick's a wide receiver guy. He doesn't really have a solid RB2-ish. And then I think the most devastating is Jamal Charles for Merrill because Rashad Jennings is not your boy. He's not your boy in New York. I don't think they have any boys in New York, but it's not him.
He's been fine, actually. He's been okay.
Nope. And but
no, just no.
Fine, okay. But Trent Richardson is not getting it done, and so who? You just have a lot of guys that you could start, but could completely doo-doo it up, and then your team, you're losing kind of. I don't know. I think that's bad. I think it's bad news.
It might be. Yeah, I mean Jennings has been fine, I guess. It's I'm not too worried. I mean, luckily I've got probably the best wide receiving core in the league. I feel like I can absorb it as well. And while I don't have great running backs to back them up, I do have guys who play and can put up, at least a few points every week. So
what's your ranking then of the four?
So I would put I think I would put AJ Green 1.
As the most impactful?
Yeah, Jamal Charles 2 and Adrian Peterson 3. That's probably what I would do.
We came down a little bit different here. I also had RG3 in the back because I think it's just a wake-up call to go and finally get Kirk Cousins like you should have done to begin with. But I had Adrian Peterson as the most impactful loss because I just feel with the amount of salary tied up, you can't cut him, but you don't know how long he's going to be out. That it's just – and it's such a big point scorer and a big part of the team. I had him as the most. Jamal Charles I had on the lower side because, like you said, Merrill, it looks like he might come back. The high ankle sprains, sometimes they can be weeks and weeks, but, with a guy like that and with the reports that I've been seeing, I feel like it's a nasty hit to take this week, but you probably won't have too much long-term damage, and your team can probably absorb it. And then the second most damaging one I had is AJ Green because if Nick's team doesn't have great wide receivers, it's in huge trouble because that's like Nick's bread and butter. That's what he bases his team off of. If God forbid he makes some damaging decision.
Hillers, I hate to cut in on you, but we just have some breaking news from the trade wire. Los Chupanibres acquires Brian Quick and Rashad Jennings from Black Widows.
Whoa!
For Greg Olson and Reggie Bush.
Oh my God!
How much do you believe in Rashad Jennings now?
Panic on the Widows.
Well, sorry, JD, because you just blew it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess from a long-term perspective, I'd rather have Rashad Jennings and Reggie Bush at those prices, but I don't know.
Well, I don't think Rashad Jennings is a long-term. He's like 28 years old. He's not really a long-term.
I don't know. Have you seen the Chupanibres?
Especially with Andre Williams, they just drafted. I mean, I think he's a long-term investment there. But
hey, I'm pretty sure the only thing quick about Brian Quick is the time it'll take him to get on the waivers from this.
I just picked him up on Sunday, actually.
And he will be going back shortly.
Yeah, he's been good. Brian Quick's been a top target there in St. Louis.
But, there he is.
I think that's a fine investment by JD. I might have done that same thing if it had been offered to me.
I needed. We've been talking kind of all week. I needed
a tight end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in desperate need.
Oops, you got to remember to draft one of those. Pro tip.
Yeah, it's definitely got to the end of the draft and said, "Oh crap, I need a tight end."
Yeah, but Jennings
I-
through 2 weeks looked just fine. Yeah.
I
think
don't
he's-
understand that one. Bush is better than Jennings, and Olsen is better than Quick. I don't really know what JD gains on that one. I mean, what is he? Is he cashing in
He's
the
got
season?
Martellus Bennett down there at the bench. No, I mean I think that's a decent trade to make.
I mean, I think
It's
Jennings is
expensive and
probably.
unreliable.
I think Jennings is a little better than Bush, honestly, because he's the guy. I mean, he's the only guy in New York that's really getting any carries. So, and say what you want about that offense, it's abysmal, I know, but he's the only guy there, and he's the only thing on that offense that's really working right now. So
I'm
I think-
adjusting my power rankings as we speak.
and Brian Quick, at least he's getting targets from whichever
He is.
quarterback is performing there. He got 9 targets in both games, plenty of receptions. So, that's a decent number 3 or 4 receiver to have there.
Yeah, so
I like that trade.
I'm not sure. I've been thinking about that trade for a few hours, and I was like, I'll accept it while I'm on the podcast. I think that'd be cool.
All right, breaking news. Always
Yeah,
nice
good-
to
good
see. We should
offer,
make
JD.
all our trades during the podcast if they're up there.
Yeah, it was good. So,
So anyway, a little bit of different on biggest loss. Who had the next
so-
thing? I've got more.
Hillers,
Who
you never
else has
finished
got
the
more?
ranking. You said AJ
Yes, I
Green
did.
won?
Yes, I did. In order of most to least, it's Peterson, Green, Charles, RG3.
Okay. All right. The last player injury I have was Deshaun Jackson. I'm not sure how big of an impact it has on our league. And I might be forgetting one. If you guys have any injuries I've left out, let me know. But
Just
I'm not
opening
sure
the
how
door
much-
for Hankerson.
Deshaun
yeah,
Jackson.
that's right. Yeah, that's what I just
Deshaun
said.
Jackson. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Roll on,
Yeah,
Anthony.
Yeah, my bad.
Welcome to the podcast.
So I was also I thought the amount of injuries in that first quarter or two was scary. Like I was actually scared to be watching football. I thought my ACLs were going to burst out of my knees at any time. Like if I got a nacho the wrong way, it was scary.
Gotta watch out for the nachos.
I tripped over my dog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I almost had to be carted away.
Yeah,
Well,
his
they say,
return to the couch was questionable.
It was pretty heroic, I thought.
So they say Deshaun Jackson is supposed to play Sunday. That's what they're reporting now. CBS Sports is. So might not be a big deal. But that's all the real injury news I had. I don't know if there's anybody else you guys had. But
No, I mean it was pretty shocking. Another week. I mean, for the first, there's always a couple of weeks in the season where it seems like people are dropping like flies, but it's usually like week 7 or 8, not week 1 and 2. It really
Right.
just makes it tough to know in our league who is where and if these standings are legit or not.
Okay. So did you guys look at the pickups at all last week? Any thoughts on some good ads or drops or anything like that? Like for instance, I know Evan added Jerick McKinnon, which could
Oops.
turn out to be pretty good. I think.
Should have been Matt Asiata apparently.
Well,
At least that
there
game.
is a less than 0 chance that Adrian Peterson, or a greater than 0 chance that Adrian Peterson never plays for the Vikings again. And if that's the case, the thought is that Jerick McKinnon is the guy who they drafted this year, who they would want to replace him. So
Never plays for them again. I don't know. I mean, less than 0, right? But I wouldn't say more than 20.
right, I mean
chance.
it's not a big chance, but there is a chance.
They let Michael Vick back in, and he killed a bunch of dogs.
Yeah, that's true.
Thanks, go Burris.
But Michael Vick didn't come back with the same team. That's kind of what we're saying here, Hillers. Remember
Well, that's true, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be surprised if that was the end result.
and Plaxico Burris also did not come back.
Evan continues to get these guys for $2, so he loses. I don't want to think about it.
Okay.
Sickening.
So, yeah, and then no other real, I guess, great pickups from what I'm looking at here. We were wrong.
We don't know
when
if that's
the,
a great pickup. That could be a waste of money too.
Brett picked up Justin Forsett for $23. That was a little lower than what we were thinking last week here.
Who was going to pay more though?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Hillers locked up the championship by picking up Jake Locker,
Woo!
which was before the podcast. last week.
Championship.
Yeah, good job on that one.
Yep, he's available for trade, Brett.
So, yeah, okay. What else you got, Anthony?
Picked up on the waivers the week before.
Anything you didn't want to talk about today, Anthony?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think all these injuries are going to make this week's waiver wire a lot more interesting than last. I mean, last I think we all knew who the number one buyer was going to be, and that was obviously Brett. But now we got a couple of people that have needs sprinkled around the league. A lot of people have a lot of money, and there's a lot of probable starting running backs available. So I think that people might be betting big or bidding big this week on guys like Asiata, on guys like who's the dude?
Niles Davis.
Niles Davis. Who's Niles Paul in Washington, Kirk Cousins in Washington, and then even maybe Jonathan Dwyer's backup. I mean, I know he's the backup, but there's a guy
Taylor.
Stephon, and maybe if you're pushing it, Stephon Taylor. So I mean, there's a bunch of guys that.
So here's a decent question for you guys then. Who goes for the most money? And if you want bonus points, say to which team.
Ooh, I think it's got to be Asiata. I think.
Don't forget Donald Brown too. By the way, he's out there too.
Yeah.
Because
I think Asiata is going to be the big because Niles Davis is not going to take over the starting job, but it's like you said earlier, someone is going to take the starting job probably permanently in Minnesota, and it's either McKinnon or Asiata. I agree that it's probably McKinnon in the long run, but maybe for the next 6 games, it might be Asiata. So
that's true. I don't know. I think, and even someone like you would think Niles Davis, because we've seen him produce before when he's been given this opportunity, and he's done okay, and he seems to be a pretty good running back, and they drafted him pretty high. But at the same time, Jamal Charles might be back. They're saying there is a small chance he's back this week, and if not this week, maybe in the next 2 weeks or so. So that wouldn't be a very good pickup for long term. I mean, if you need to fill in for a week, maybe it'll work. But yeah, I wouldn't say Niles Davis. I think Donald Brown might be the big winner here, honestly. I think he's the guy you might want. He's in a good offense. He's shown that he can produce in the league. And Ryan Matthews, all he's shown is that he can't really stay healthy. So
who's going to pick him up? I mean, I saw that he got featured, but it wasn't exactly like he blew the doors off. And Trent Richardson did very well last week. So who do you think is going to spend the biggest money of the week
on Trent
Donald Brown?
Richardson have to do with this?
No, not Trent Richardson.
Yeah,
no.
I'm sorry.
And he didn't do well. He had 2 fumbles.
Trent Richardson did actually fine this week.
No, he did.
He did. I'm perfectly happy with how Trent Richardson did this week.
Hold on a second, though. Did you see how Ahmad Bradshaw was running in Indianapolis? He went nuts.
Yeah, until he hurts his foot again and has to go out. I mean,
until then, I think that Bradshaw might be the starter.
Well, if you can think that all you want, but they keep giving more carries to Richardson, so at this point, it's nothing. It's a timeshare, if anything. And
how many rushing attempts did Richardson get last week? Let me tell you.
Okay.
Because Ahmad Bradshaw, take a guess. I'm stalling right now. He got 15 carries.
Take a guess. Look it up.
Trent Richardson had 21.
Okay, well, you win that one, but it's pretty, Bradshaw's getting away.
I botched that.
There's nothing wrong with Ahmad Bradshaw. I'm just saying Trent Richardson still has value, and I think Ahmad Bradshaw has value. I think he's a guy you can actually play and feel okay about.
Yeah, that was a good pickup for Nick, actually, I thought. Yeah. He did well to get that while it was still cheap. It was just 1 week ahead of the curve, and I think that's when most of our free agents go for any kind of value, is 1 week before everybody else wants them. It's always like one team gets him, and then everybody else said, I was going to get him just this week, and this week I think that guy is Niles Davis. It's not only because he's so funky, but just because he had a really good performance, and I think some teams, even though they suspect Jamal Charles might be coming back soon, that just the notion that he might be out for any length of time makes Davis look like a better option. And maybe even for next year as one of those guys that you just sort of hang around on your bench, and then next year maybe he gets hired by another team or something and becomes the sought-after piece.
So last week we predicted who would pick up Justin Forsett. Who spends the most on a running back this week? Who do we think? And we don't have to say which running back, but who do we think spends the most money on one?
You guys go first.
I think Hillard will.
I think it might be Andy.
I think it's Hillers because right now he's starting Danny Woodhead at running back. So
Andy needs a flex guy because
flex guy. I'm talking about RB2 here. Hillers is starting Danny Woodhead at RB2.
all right, fair enough.
Andy. Yeah,
He just
Andy
needs guys. Anyone
Jimmy
that
Jackson's a good flex.
Mm.
I guess, kind of.
Yes.
Oh, where's Steven Jackson?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Andy as well.
Oh, so Hiller's not putting in any bids on running backs, are you?
None.
None. Okay.
0. Yeah.
All right. Everybody bid low. Hiller's isn't putting in money.
no need to put any money in.
Right.
You know, no one's probably gonna want these people. So.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think this is one of, like, in recent memory anywhere, or at least as far back as I can remember, which isn't very far, this is one of the best running back pickup weeks we've had in a while.
There's many people available. You're a little bit spoiled for choice this week, which will probably end up, it will end up screwing more people than it helps. You know,
Yeah.
It's just who comes out of this looking okay, and who comes out of it going, oh, what the hell did I spend all that money on this 1 week bum for?
If you're in the mood for, like, a running back that nobody likes but still puts up a few points every week, come to me. I got a bunch of those guys.
Nobody likes.
Nobody likes any of my running backs. Trent Richardson, Sean Green, Reggie Bush. Nobody likes my running back.
We'll talk after this.
Yeah.
I am in the market for those guys.
Yeah. All right, Hillers. What else you got for us?
All right, I got a little game called Mirage or Reality here, around particular players.
Okay.
And we'll
Let's do
see.
it.
All right, starting off, Antonio Gates, 3 touchdowns last week. Big game. I remember back before there were the Gronks, and even before like Vernon Davis was huge, and back before Jimmy Graham was like wanting to be a wide receiver.
Vernon Davis
Everybody
is
thought
huge
that
out of the womb, by the way.
Antonio Gates was gonna be, the revolution in tight end, and he was for a while, but then he went away. 3
You mean
touchdowns
the
last week.
7 #1 overall pick in SFFL
Was he?
by End Zone Bombardment Squad? Remember that?
He was the
Oh,
number
really?
one.
It was your number 1 pick?
Well, because we were doing a keeper league back then, so he was really a 4th-round pick.
Oh, Lord.
All right, whatever.
Yeah,
Don't-
well,
don't-
okay, fair enough.
But I hear you. He's your first guy.
Is he back or not? Reality or Mirage?
It's for now. I'm gonna say reality.
Well, by reality, let me
now-
because you love to hedge your answers week to week. Does he end up a top
Yeah.
5 tight end on this season?
No,
Okay, so Mirage
No,
for you.
but I don't think that's because of his ability. I think it's because he will get injured.
Okay.
I'm also gonna say Mirage, and it's because they were playing the Seahawks, and they have a great defense. A lot of the guys recovered, and I don't know. He just kept going to Gates. Gates probably had the best matchups.
So he scored
No, I
well
mean-
because they were playing a great defense.
Gates scored well because I think that he had probably the best matchups against a good defense. A lot of other people recovered, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
And then I also think that he's going to get injured because he does every year.
He started out hot last year. If you look at his game log, he started this way last year too, and then he kind of faded. I don't know if his old bones caught up with him or what, but
It's old bones.
yeah. What about you, Hillers?
Well, I'm always way too quick to buy in on tight ends, and
You are.
and this is another one of those cases. I don't know how a guy has a game like that against a premier defense, maybe the best defense in the league.
So Pritchard, if you want DeMarco Murray, just Antonio Gates to Hillers.
No. I told you. No, that reality show has been canceled permanently. I'm perfectly happy with Julius Thomas, but
Hiller's next top tight end.
it looks yes. That show's gone forever. But it was he got a lot of targets, he got a lot of looks in the red zone, and I think that leaves an impression. And I wasn't seeing as much of other guys on the Chargers that I thought I would. I mean, normally I would think Woodhead might have been targeted a little more in that area, or Keenan Allen or somebody, but I think as long as he can stay healthy, and I'll just go ahead and take the over on him staying healthy, top 5 tight end is a perfectly reasonable goal for Gates this year.
All right. Well, let's run through that. because you're saying top 5 tight end.
Yeah.
I'm going to say there's definitely 5 tight ends you would rather have the rest of the way than Antonio Gates.
Okay.
So while I'm waiting for CBS's site to come up here, let's just start Jimmy Graham, Rob Gronkowski.
I don't know about Gronk. What has he done thus far? I'm a
Seriously?
very what have you done for me lately kind of guy.
You'd rather have Antonio Gates than Rob Gronkowski?
Let's not get into an obvious argument about about Gronkowski not being good. Okay, just not even do it.
What? He gets hurt just as much as anybody. He's been hurt in the last couple of years more than Gates has. I'm looking for him here
but
on
when
the
Gronkowski
sheet, and I'm
plays,
not
he's
seeing
way
him.
better. He's got 13 points.
Oh, all right, there he is. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no, I would take Gates.
Over Rob Gronkowski the rest of the season.
Yep. If I had to choose one of the two right now, I'd take Gates.
Julius Thomas.
Obviously, I would take him over Gates, yes.
Now, he gets hurt all the time, too. Why aren't you afraid of him getting hurt?
Because he's mine, and he does great.
Well, I can't argue with that. How about Martellus Bennett?
Nope, Gates.
Greg Olson.
Probably about the same based on targets, but yeah, sure, I'll take Gates.
So you have Antonio Gates as like your number. Zach Ertz.
I would probably take Zach Ertz.
All right, that drops him down to 4, right?
Yeah.
Dennis Pitta.
No, I'm looking at the rest of the list here. It's Gates until somebody shows up and has a huge game.
Delaney Walker. He showed up and had a huge game.
He did. Not quite as big though. And and he never had that time in the limelight, that Gates did, where that he can sustain that over a fair period
All
of
right,
time.
so I'm ready for a bet. I'll take Rob Gronkowski the rest of the season. You get Antonio Gates. What are the stakes?
Right, we'll make it a small one. I don't know. What happens at the end of the season? What can we exchange?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what. If you make it through week 8, I'll do a drunk podcast bet with you.
Oh, vodka eyeball, please.
No, vodka balls.
Never. How about it, Merrill?
Sure. So, like, somebody is basically drinking wench for the podcast?
For the podcast.
Okay.
Through week 8, we'll say, what?
Through week 8?
1 or 2. Yeah, because the podcasts only go through,
No, it goes through the whole season. We'll go through week 12. Who has the most points on the season?
All right, regular season. That's
regular
fine.
Season. That's right.
All right. Injury clause?
With these guys, I don't think we get one. I think it's who gets hurt first.
No? Okay. Let's just go
Your
balls
whole
out.
argument is based on injury. You got to keep it in.
Yeah, I mean, who gets hurt first? That's the whole deal, right?
Okay, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
All right,
Sorry,
good bet.
Anthony, we kind of discluded you.
I don't want to be a part of that one.
But Mirage Reality, Antonio Gates thoroughly covered. Okay, we'll cross him off the
I would
list.
say it is.
Okay.
So there you go. If you have, if you need Pritchard, I guess, has Gates, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So there you go. If you want one of Hiller's top players, just offer Antonio Gates, because holy crap. Anyway.
Oh, still a tight end. Anyway, Darren Sproles, Mirage Reality.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Say reality.
And by
easy.
reality, let's say, I don't know, top 12 running back? I'm trying to do an over-under here.
That's pretty
I say over,
ambitious.
but not by much. I give him like maybe
Over
15,
meaning
16.
he's not a top 12?
I think he's
Like,
definitely.
he is 15, 16.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be a top 20 running back, which is, a guy you want to start every week. I think I called this at the draft. I said I think he's going to have a huge year in that offense. He's really good, and nobody ever. I don't know. I feel like he never gets the credit that he deserves in fantasy because
He has
he's
small
never really
stature.
been utilized as well either. I mean, they're using him all over the place and putting him in big play. He's not one of 4
was
running
great
backs
in
like he was
New Orleans.
in New Orleans. Yeah, but there was a crowded field there, and I don't feel like he was appropriately featured.
What are you talking about?
Now he is.
Okay, let's ignore that one too.
That one I can't.
Who's the next
I can't,
guy? Who's the
I
next
can't
guy?
counter all these.
No, he
points
was
you're
fine,
making.
but he wasn't a top 20 running back in that offense.
He
Where
was.
is
But
he?
let's
I'm
just.
looking for him.
You keep looking. I don't think he was that good. I mean, he was a good player, a good athlete. They could have been using him
He
well.
had 71 catches last year. He had 75 catches the year before, 210 fantasy points. 86 catches the year before that, 234 fantasy points. He had 59 catches the year before that. And those
Is
are,
this a PPR scoring?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He used. Okay, so we'll go total yardage. All right.
Because we're not in a PPR league.
But I'm just saying that's where his value is. His value isn't in rushing yards. They didn't use him as a rusher. They used him.
I don't care if he used him in a rusher. I'm just saying.
So we'll go
not a
fantasy
top
points.
20 guy.
He had 100.
All right. Let's just either make a bet or let's move on, because, come on.
Well, no, I'm confident that he was
tiebreaker.
top 20.
I think he was top 20 last year. I think he was. In the Saints. He had a good year.
Okay.
But I just think I don't really have any faith.
We're all reality on this one then?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. Ahmad Bradshaw. We'd said he was a good pickup, but for the rest of the season, is he really going to be able to fend it off, or is he going to be the lesser in a committee?
Darren Sproles in 2012 was the number 6, or 2011 was the number 6 running back in the league.
In 2011?
2011. That's just the first one I clicked on.
You know, it's 2014. Anyway,
Okay.
we're on to a different guy, Merrill. Keep up.
All right.
Rule 1. Ahmad Bradshaw.
I think reality, but not to the extent that he went off last week. I think he's going to be the better back than Trent Richardson.
I think reality. Like I said, I think he's a guy you can start every week and feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
It's a good offense. There's enough.
I'd say Mirage. He did have a great week. He looked fantastic, but it's too uncertain at this point for me to say this is a guy I want. I feel like I'm always going to be picking wrong on if he scores or not, and he's definitely not going to. It's easy to say, oh yeah, this is the next big starter after what he did last week, but they've invested a lot in Trent Richardson, and I'd be surprised if they put him on the back burner so quickly.
Okay.
Last guy, Marquez Colston, 0 catches last week.
Yeah, that was the first time in 186 games, I think, that he hasn't had a catch.
It's very
Or
crowded.
86, not 186.
Very
That would
crowded
be
in New Orleans right now if you're looking for targets, especially with Jimmy Graham deciding that he doesn't need to be, covered. So,
what's changed in New Orleans? So let's focus on that point. What do you think has changed in New Orleans that makes it more crowded than before?
Brandon Cooks.
But Darren Sproles left.
So.
And I just told you how many catches he was getting every season.
Yeah, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that Colston's going to get all those balls. At all.
True.
The correlation means nothing there.
But your argument was it's very crowded. So
it is.
I think that's a valid argument. I mean, you only have so many passing attempts per game, and you got a lot of good wide receivers in New Orleans. And I think that your opportunities, do the math. The opportunities get lower. And
jump in here, Kyrie Robinson owner.
Yeah, and it's when Kenny Stills is kind of going full force, there's going to be even less. So I don't think he's going
to be catching passes. Mark Ingram is catching. Pierre Thomas is catching passes.
He caught them last year too. No, the only thing that's changed is Darren Sproles left and Brandon Cooks came in. That's it.
Yeah, but you think Colston is fine? Are you summing it up that way, Merrill, or are you just blowing hot air?
I think he will be fine. Yes.
Okay, I think it's reality. I think he's going to not be a 0-point receiver or not be cut, but he's going to take a big hit from his previous value.
And don't forget that I have to play now Grimes 3 times this year, and it's going to be Jimmy Breeze.
Jimmy Breeze
every time. So
I got burned by Jimmy Breeze pretty bad this week, so I got a little bit of hurt feelings. But I think it might be a tough year for Colston. No spring chicken.
Well, on that, what about, speaking of Grimes and his team here, what about Drew Brees? Mirage or reality? Because he has been mediocre at best so far.
Yeah.
Didn't look mediocre and he was kicking my ass. It's plenty good enough.
He had like 15 points.
Okay.
He had almost 19, which is not the worst. That's not the worst.
Against Cleveland is the real alarming
Yeah,
headline.
but at home in Atlanta, in a game where there was like 80,000 points scored, he had 16 fantasy points.
Breeze will be fine.
Okay, so you say Mirage. I'm going to say Mirage too, but
Mirage.
I think it's worth the.
2 games, and I mean, it was, the headline on this is Drew Brees has Jekyll Hyde game in defeat to Browns, which is what he had, a bad half and a good half. And in the good half, he's like, oh wait, they don't bother to cover, Jimmy Graham at all. So now I have a great game. He's 35 years old. I don't know if he'll keep it up forever, but I have no concerns about him this year.
Okay.
All right, moving on. That was just 4 guys.
Okay.
All right, so I have a quick factoid segment, and then I'm done with all my topics. I'm just going to go over the minigame stats. So minigame winner this past week was Hillers. It was highest scoring player.
Rodgers again.
Once again, 2 years in a row, Aaron Rodgers wins it with 34.6 points. Now, I haven't mentioned it before on the podcast, so I'll say it now. We have 7 new season-long minigames this year, and the way it works is if your player has the highest scoring single week of any of the categories from QB down to the bench player, you are in the lead, and then at the end of the regular season, you
Jordy
win
Nelson. Jordy Nelson.
Merrill, no. Sorry to say.
What?
So I'll go through it. Highest scoring single week QB thus far, Matt Ryan, week 1 with 38.3 points. That's to JD. Running back, Le'Veon Bell, week 1, 25-7 to Grimes. Wide receiver, Megatron, week 1, 28.7 to Pritchard.
God, it's like a half a point.
Tight end, Julius Thomas, 28.4 week 1 to Hillers.
Get it.
And this one kills me. Because this is the most random one, but yet it goes to Evan. Highest scoring kicker, Dan Bailey, week 2, 19 points. I don't think anyone's going to beat that one.
Somebody will beat it.
Someone will beat that.
19
Someone's going to beat it.
That's high.
And then high scoring.
It's high, but it's a long year.
Defense, Patriots,
Evan.
week 2 to Evan with 30 points. And
Someone will
then
beat that
bench
too.
player
wait a minute.
thus far. Hold
Wait a
on,
minute.
I'm not done. Go ahead.
So Evan got 49 points from his defense and kicker last week?
Yeah.
Isn't that some bullshit?
Wow.
That's the Evan factor for you.
Wow. Okay, sorry. Proceed.
And then the highest scoring bench player thus far is Jay Cutler, week 2, 33.5 points to Grimes. And bench player could be anything from QB to DST. All
Provided they're on
counts,
a bench.
Provided they're on a bench. Not the IR slot, of course.
Brandon Marshall made a run at it this week.
Yeah, there were a lot of close ones, but I'll be recapping that every podcast for you guys. And good luck holding on, except for everyone.
Everyone not named Anthony can suck it.
Everyone not named me. Good luck.
All
Wait,
right.
no, the other round.
So I'm gonna
By the way,
jump in here, Hillers.
And by the way, Evan would have still won his game last week, even if his kicker and defense put up 0.
Okay.
A curse upon him.
Yeah.
Merrill?
So Hillers, I was kind of piggybacking off what you said. I mean, almost like a trend or mirage, but this one I like to call it panic time. Because we're 2 weeks in, and it's about time to start panicking.
If you're asking me, the answer is yes. Panic time.
No, not you. Yet.
Crisis alert!
Last week we were really freaking out about peanut butter jelly time, and it was panic time. We felt last week. So I will ask you guys: is it still panic time for peanut butter jelly time?
Yes. How did it get better? His quarterback got hurt, in addition to his litany of troubles.
Yeah, but
I
he's
don't
getting
know.
Doug Martin back.
But Bobby Rainey is a perfectly viable replacement, and Forsett will fill in. I don't know. I don't think you panic. As long as you can get a quarterback this week, like maybe Kirk Cousins, I think you're good to go.
Yeah, and there's quarterbacks out there. I think his situation has greatly improved, especially because if Doug Martin, well, I don't know that Doug Martin's all that good, first of all, but they're saying he's probably going to play this week, so he'll be back, and he's really just got to get a quarterback because he's got Forsett, who, has shown he's pretty good. So I'm going to say no. I think Brett has kind of righted the ship a little bit.
Enough for his schedule? No, I mean it's not like his schedule got any easier. You know, his team is a little bit better, but let's see. In period 3, he plays Nick. I don't think he's going to beat Nick with his little bit better. And in period 4, it gets really bad, and he plays Anthony and Evan. Who's going to lose both of those? Yes, panic time. Mega panic time.
Well, see, but he can't control schedule. I mean, I think he's done everything he can to right the ship.
Nonetheless. And then touchdown Jesus after that, it just doesn't let up. And then he's got you in period 6. He might just not have a win until week 7.
Really good wide receivers. And then if he's going to go find a quarterback on waivers who will probably be, good enough.
Over-under.
Walker, he picked up Delaney Walker off waivers, who was incredible this week. So really, it's running back. If his running backs can produce at all, I think he'll have a pretty good.
So over-under on 2.5 wins by week 7.
Oh, I'll say over on that. I don't care who the team is. I'll always say over on that.
Oh, I'll go under. Anthony? Given that schedule and Brett's team, 2.5 wins by week 7, and I just gave you the schedule up until then.
I think under, and I hate to say that, but
I think under too. Panic time.
Well, he has one. I mean, all right. I'll still go under.
I say over because there's so much random crap that happens in this league. He could luck his way into 2 wins, and even still, I think his team's not as
week
terrible.
Week 4 is the only doubleheader in there, and he has a terrible, terrible draw for it.
Sure, so. But what if they have a bad week?
It's possible. It's happened already this season.
All right. Next one, Tom Brady for Nick. He went for pretty cheap. I think the overall consensus in the draft was that it was a pretty good buy by Nick. It wasn't crazy good or anything, but it was a pretty good buy. But Brady looks like he's picking up where he left off last year, for the most part anyway. I mean, he had a pretty good second half last year, but he started off really bad last year. Do we think it's time to panic? Like, is this kind of the end of Tom Brady that we're watching?
I don't know if it's the end of Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady always got a little residual credit for all things Patriots. No, it's not time to panic because quarterbacks are easily had in this league. He could go get one for a guy on his bench if he decided that Tom Brady wasn't getting it done for him anymore. So just for that reason, I'd say no, you don't need to panic. You can easily remedy the situation.
Okay.
And he's playing Oakland this week. I mean, we'll really see them. Miami always plays the Patriots tough, and the Minnesota defense occasionally decides to show up. If he doesn't do very well against the Raiders, then I'd be a little bit more inclined to say
Minnesota gave up 40. They put up 40 on Minnesota. So.
Well, that's because they got it to such a big lead. They just had to grind the clock out. Why would you throw the ball?
Right.
Just run. I mean, that's what happened. They were killing them. So
maybe that's the question. Like, are we seeing the end of Tom Brady as a top-tier fantasy quarterback? And maybe that's more the question.
I would have said yes to that for the last several years, though. I'm not a Tom Brady enthusiast.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think so too. How about the Winier? Is it time for the Winier to panic?
Yes.
Just in general.
Yes.
About everything.
He should be panicking about things not even related to fantasy football at this point.
Anthony, what do you? I mean, we left the draft thinking his team was really good. We really liked the way he drafted. We liked the depth on his team, but here he is sitting at 0-3. His points for is not good, and we're looking at a team here where things just aren't really panning out for him. What do you think?
Welker coming back is a good thing, and I really think the Vereen, that 4 points for Vereen is a bit of an anomaly. This is a bottom. No, I don't think it's panic time for him. I think this is a bottom bad luck game, and he'll bounce back.
Okay.
And you know what? It really depends. A lot of it is also going to depend if Jeremy Hill continues to get those kind of opportunities in Cincinnati. And I think that he will. Then he's got a good flex guy there.
I would slow down on the Jeremy Hill thing because that was a game where they handed the ball off 40-plus times. And I think Bernard got like 27 carries and Hill had 15. because they were up so big, they could just run all over them. So I think that was a little. I don't know if that was an outlier, but I would disagree on the Jeremy Hill thing. I think clearly Giovanni Bernard is a beast, and he's the guy. I think Jeremy Hill just got a lot of work because they were just crushing the Falcons. So
How about like a wait and see kind of thing? I'm gonna hold on that. I'm gonna hold on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, Merrill will always allow a push. he hates to take a stance on anything. And my thing is, again, looking through their schedule, he's 0-3. The playoff boundary is about 7 losses. It's pretty typically around 7 losses every year. And I'm just seeing maybe a 50-50 schedule for him. I'm not thinking that this is, a terrible team. I'm not giving him this, you're in huge trouble for your guys. But, Deshaun Jackson is hurt. You've already heard my opinions on Colston. And the bench is not as capable and as deep maybe as we thought it was. So I'm thinking if he goes 50-50 on the rest of his games, he's not making the playoffs. And that's kind of where I see him, is sort of around 1 here, 1 there. I'm not seeing a huge win streak in there with Wes Welker coming back. I mean, it's a nice contribution, but it's not really changing the outlook for me unless some of these guys start to overperform rather than underperform. So.
Okay. I'm gonna say it is panic time.
So yes, panic time.
So yeah, I'm gonna say yes too. I just think like we said, you get 7 losses max in this league, and you really got to start worrying. And he's at 3 already, so he's almost halfway. He's pretty much halfway there. So.
Crisis alert!
Yeah, it might be crisis alert time. And then Anthony. I mean, we kind of covered this already, I guess, but you lost Adrian Peterson. You're saying it's not panic time for you. Hillers, I guess, would you agree with that?
No, it's not panic time for Anthony. He's fine.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like everyone else in our division, he has to deal with our division, which is not good. But, I mean, if you look at the guys on his team not named Adrian Peterson, most of the really good ones are for under $20, and they're excellent players that anybody would love to have. So, yeah, he'll be just fine.
Okay. All right. That's all I had for mine. Did you guys have any other?
Yeah, I've got one.
All right.
All right, and this is NFL and Sandlot, and I'm just going to give some examples, and we'll say, sort of yes, no, or maybe. Yeah, you can even push on this one. Are bad teams now good? Right? Are teams that we all thought were kind of crummy actually capable contenders? Okay, and we'll do, first start with one from the NFL, Buffalo, the Buffalo Bills. 2-0 against some pretty decent contenders.
You do love the Bills.
Got a game against the Chargers coming. Well, I mean, it's an interesting question. They beat Miami, who beat the Patriots, did they not? And so have they not by extension beat the Patriots?
I think they're legit. I think they are a legit team this year.
What
every
changed?
year there's a team that comes from the bottom.
I can't tell what changed with them though. Other than C.J. Spiller doing well instead of crummy.
I think their defense is playing better also.
They're stout.
Yeah, and they got E.J. Manuel. He's actually healthy. I don't know that that's a good thing necessarily, but
I don't know
healthy,
if I'd be touting the wonders of E.J. Manuel, but
I like him.
Yeah.
All right, so legit. Okay, interesting. I think so too. I mean, they look like a solid all-around sort of squad to me.
Every year in the NFL, there's that team that's
they're beating good
Kansas
teams.
City, and now it could be. Why not Buffalo this year? Sure.
Yeah. All right, now in our league, Los Chupanibres, 2-1, right up there at the top in terms of record. Although there's not too many below that. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, but they're up there. They've beat more teams than they lost. Is there something that we missed about this team? And now with this trade, which I think was good for them, is this sort of deep rather than studs and scrubs capable of going a long way in this division that they're in?
Anthony?
I don't know. I think anything's. Yeah, I don't know, man. Fantasy's crazy to predict that kind of thing. I don't like the trade. I don't believe in Ridley. But, Matt Ryan, it might all depend on Matt Ryan where it goes. He has the ability to be good. he's in, or at least he has some beatable teams. And like you said, 9-7, you can make the playoffs. And if he just womps on some of those dudes in his division, then he'll be.
So it's
he can make
possible he's a wild card team, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's not saying much. But yeah,
You're telling me there's a chance.
sure.
Right.
2-1, there's always a chance.
Okay, I'm gonna say no. He's still bad.
He's terrible. He's the worst.
This is. I mean, he's gotten some good breaks, and yes, it is possible to ride good breaks into a wild card berth. But even Vision, I think there's at least 2 other teams I'd rather have than his.
His team's the worst. It's terrible. I don't understand. This team has no focus. The management of this team is all over the place. I don't understand.
What kind of focus are you looking for?
This front office has no idea what it's doing. They're more interested in putting butts in the seats and selling tickets than they are about winning football games. They're more interested in publicity of all these big trades they're throwing down. I don't know. This team is a disaster, and they'll be lucky to win another game this year.
Wow.
So
power rankings, maybe.
I had a couple more.
Keep going.
Okay, the Cardinals. Good team. Had some troubles last year, as I recall.
I'll say bad team in the lightning round. I'll say bad team.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say good team, tough division. I'm not sure they're gonna. I think it's gonna be very similar to last year. Well, they'll get a lot of wins, but won't make it just based off of seeding. Like within the division.
All right, and we'll take off the tail end here and say duplex of mediocrity, also 2-1. Last year's champion, and technically at the top of their division right now.
Yeah.
Talk about a team that rode good breaks, not just into the playoffs, but into a championship. I hate his team. I hated it last year. Well, it was meh at best, is what I'll say.
Looks better this year than last year to me.
He had good breaks last year. It can't go right from twice in a row. It can't do it. His name isn't Evan, so.
Well, the only difference is he traded his Niners out for Eagles. The Eagles look like they're just going to be running as much offense as possible. So I'd give him a fair shot at a wild card.
Yeah. Wow.
You just got done telling me how awesome Darren Sproles was.
Yeah, I've got to buy. I mean, it's Dave. He always, he seems to be.
He finds a way.
He finds a way to be at least in the hunt. So.
Yeah, you could take Kelvin Benjamin out there when Vernon Davis comes back, plug him right in, and you got a decent little starting lineup there. So.
Yeah.
Not a division winner necessarily, but I get a good shot at a wild card.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, I'll cut off the last one, so let's move along.
Power rankings. Let's do it, gentlemen. We've got a little more of a sample size to work on here. Anthony, you didn't do yours last week.
Exactly.
So we'll start with you, Anthony. But while you're doing this, if you want to tell us how things shifted maybe from week 1 to week 2, because I think you still did do power rankings.
I did them last week, and I might as well start. I will say where they were week 1 to where they're at. I do have some pretty a couple of upheavals here. So let's start here.
Upheavals.
My number 12 this week went from 11 to 12. It's the Wiener.
Wow. Okay.
PBJ time.
Panic
PBJ time was 12, is now 11. Choops was 8, is now 10. Assassins was 10, is now 9. Turns out I don't have an 8 in there at all.
Yes, you do.
Oh yeah, I do. Here we go. Nick was 4, is now 8.
Ooh, big drop. Why the plummet?
Green. AJ Green, Noshawn Moreno, and Brady.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
And then Widows was 3 and now 7. I don't know, just because it's the Merrill factor, I guess.
Yeah, I can't argue.
and that's my top half.
All right.
My worst half.
All right. So mine are PBJ time still at 12. Gotta have to show me something, I think, to change out of the bottom. When you get to the bottom, it's a real indictment for me on that team. Wiener was 10, now 11, and that's somewhat of a reflection on schedule. Got a tough week coming up here. Assassins was 11, now 10. Maybe I was a little bit hard on them. Choops was 9, is 9. They're just where they were. Duplex was 7, now 8. Not because they lost, it's just a reassessment of other teams, only leaves so much space there. And TDJ was 5, now 7.
Wow, okay. So somebody's moving up for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, at 12, I've got Chupa Knee Brace. Like I said, I don't understand the strategy with this team, the focus. Just a disaster. 11, I've got PBJ. Like I said, I think they righted the ship a little bit. They might be rising here. 10, I've got
Rising to
Hillers.
11. Way to go.
10, I've got Hiller's upside. Just, the Gearhart thing's not working out for you. At 9, I've got the Assassins. At 8, I've got the Weenye. I still believe in this team. I'm not sure why exactly, but I do. And then at 7, I got the Dad Dicks.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Right.
That's
just
not
a
very
reminder
good for Dad Dicks.
how I do these. I look at these teams and I say, who do I want to play the most and who do I want to play the least, and that's how I do my rankings.
I'm doing pretty decently in score week to week.
I'd love to play you every week.
You wouldn't have wanted to play me the first week.
Yeah, well,
I would have kicked your ass.
that's not
Okay.
what this is based on.
So here's my
enough.
best half. Duplex
Would have beat you this
goes
week
from-
too, you son of a bitch. I would have beaten you every week so far.
Both of
Duplex.
them? Wow.
Yeah, both of them. Ass. Go ahead.
Duplex goes from 9 to 6. TDJ holds fast at 5. EBS goes from 1 to 4 for me.
Wow.
Hillers makes a huge jump from 7 to 3 based on his
Good
points
night.
scored and
And
breakdown.
why is that?
I just said because of his points scored, fourth, and breakdown.
Roll one, Merrill.
Points for
And then Sex Cannons goes from 6 to 2. He had a big week, and he's Evan. And Dad Dix goes from 2 to 1. I'm afraid of Dad Dix. I have to play him 3 times. Jimmy Breeze, Terrence West, of course, he hits, and now the emergence of Sammy Watkins. That's a scary team for me.
Okay.
Those are compelling arguments, actually, Anthony, and probably if I was doing this again now, I'd tweak mine a little bit. But what I had going in was myself at 6, moving up from 8. I think I can beat the Chupa brace this week, God willing. If not, you'll see me taking a large plummet in my own rankings. Iron Pirates went from 2 to 5. Big hit from them. I didn't like what I was seeing in the AJ Green thing. Certainly didn't help. Black Widows went from 3 to 4. Another subpar week makes me think that your team isn't quite as good as I thought. And the Jamal Charles injury certainly didn't help. You are also fixing for a plummet if you have a bad week this week. Dad Dix went from 6 to 3 because having been personally whipped by them, I appreciated more what they bring to the table in terms of potential score every week.
We got personally whipped by the Dad Dicks, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it was not pleasant. Sex Cannons went from 4 to 2 after his kicker and defense outscored half the teams in the league. And EBS remains at 1. This is a show of faith in just the overall solidness of this team and the belief that he'll come out the division winner.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Even
I
with
hope so,
Adrian
too.
Peterson loss, I don't think it's going to hurt him all that bad. And you don't know how long he's going to be out for either. He could be back in 2 weeks. Could be back next week. The Vikings can't seem to decide.
He'll never play again.
That's another possibility. It's
All right, Mike.
And he can join your spider web then. At 6, I have Iron Pirate. Nick's kind of was a middling team, and I feel like he's headed down that road again. At 5, I've got the Duplex. At 4, I've got Touchdown Jesus, who I think is going to beat me really badly this week. At 3, I have my team. I have at 3. I don't know why I did that exactly now that I'm looking at it. But I do believe in my team still. I've had subpar weeks, and I've had that because I moved that because of the trade I made too. My tight end spot is now filled in with someone who can actually play, so that's going to help a little bit. I feel
early
like.
season hubris is part of the Merrill way of life.
It is. Well, that's the only time we can have that. So at 2, I've got the Sex Cannons, and at 1, I've got EBS. So EBS and Sex Cannons, 1 and 2. Yay! It's like a Clinton Bush election year.
Mike, I really don't get it. I mean, you lose your number 1 running back. Nick loses his running back and his number 1 wide receiver, and yet you still have Dad Dix, who essentially gained 2 really good players last week, and Sammy Watkins and Terrence West is still worse than both of you guys. Blows my mind, but whatever.
We'll have to disagree on Sammy Watkins and Terrence West being really good players at this point. I do think Sammy Watkins is a good receiver. I don't know that I'm ready to call Terrence West a really good player yet.
First round picks typically are not good, I guess. I don't know.
There are a lot of first-round picks that have not been good. So
Untrue. All right, so
True? Really?
untrue.
Okay. That's a fact.
Fact. It is fact. It is not true.
Fact of the matter is. All right, predictions, and then we'll close it out.
Yep.
All right. Scoring preview. So, we'll start. This time, why don't we start at the bottom of my list here with Sex Cannons versus the Assassins. Based on power rankings, I can assume we're going to sweep it with the Sex Cannons here.
Yep.
Not close.
Not close. Drubbing of the week, maybe?
Perhaps. Definite candidate.
Yeah, this could be a thump and a half.
Next one, Peanut Butter Jelly Time, who are quarterbackless at the moment, versus Iron Pirate Redux. I'm going to pick Brett here.
Okay. Just out of spunk? Why?
I think his team isn't as bad as everyone. I think we were a little too quick to quit on this team, and I don't know. I think this team bounces back. I think it gets back to 500 this week.
Now, there's only about, well, I'll say 2 matchups player to player that I like better on Brett's side. I'll take Pirates in a relatively easy win.
I think it's going to be a close one, but I think it's going to be a close one, and you know what? I'm going to take Brett. Why not?
Yeah.
Everybody loves an underdog.
Yeah, maybe that's it too.
But
yeah.
it depends on Brett getting a quarterback that isn't named like Joe Flacco, I guess.
There's not many other ones out there. I've been looking.
I know.
Cousins.
Ooh, that's another one. The next candidate for possible drubbing of the week here: End Zone Bombardment Squad versus the Weenyay. End Zone Bombardment Squad, of course, loses. Big AP, AD, whatever you want to call them. This is going to be the week. Can this locker room get it together? Can they rally the troops? Will this galvanize the team? I'm going to say that they win. End Zone Bombardment Squad wins this one.
Yeah, easy win.
Just don't forget the history that just when you think the Weenyay is the worst team in the world, they play me and then put up like the league high scoring, which bumped me out of the first place division champion last year, and I think it could do it again this week. So I'm going Weenyay.
And reminds us that your sour grapes know no bounds.
Yeah, that single loss right there cost you the championship, right?
It cost me a division title, but it turns out I did the math. I would have lost in the playoffs anyway.
Oh, okay.
Thanks to Matt Stafford in the snow.
Yeah, he doesn't like that very much. All right, next one. The first one to 80 points wins matchup. Hiller's Upside versus Los Chupanibres.
Bite me. I've been doing way better than that. You'll notice schedule difficulty first on my team, and that's the reason I'm
Welcome to my world, Hillers. Welcome to my world.
I don't whine enough to live in your world.
You will. Try it for 11 seasons.
Also, second.
I'm going to pick.
Right on.
I just can't pick the Chupanibres here. Like I said, I don't understand where their heads at.
Where's the focus?
So I'm going with Hillers.
Yeah, I'll take me too.
I'm also going with Hillers. He has some succulent matchups.
They're delectable.
Yeah.
Green Bay
Cordero
Detroit is
Patterson.
going to be a fun game to watch this week, I think.
Mm-hmm. So you picking you, Hillers?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do it, man.
Sweep
Beat
it.
them. I need you to win. Dad Dicks versus the Duplex of Mediocrity is our next game here. And the Dad Dicks are favored heavily coming into this matchup, mostly due to the big edge and almost moderate edge in the kicker matchup. They feel that Steven Gostowski is going to really outscore Steven Hauschka in the battle of the Stevens.
So with really, you're guessing he's going to have 16 points? Come on.
I know.
It's
a little high.
It's almost a 20% point favor to Dad Dicks, but it's only a slight edge. this is like the Nick scale of ratings because
Predictions are the worst.
it's like slight and then moderate, but edge is also means like slight, doesn't it? That's why it's called an edge. It's supposed to be narrow. Doesn't make any sense.
I don't get their projection. They project everybody to score 115 points. I don't understand where this comes from, but whatever.
All good points.
So,
I'm taking the Dicks. I'd love to pick an upset, but this one's just seems like a lot of whoopings are going to happen this week by the previews.
it could.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dix because it spites me the most.
Yeah, Drew Brees at home. The Saints are at home, which is always good for them, so I'm going to take the Dicks.
Against Minnesota.
Against Minnesota. We just had 40 put up on them at their place. So
I also like the Bengals at home versus Tennessee. The Tennessee's going to come in and get chewed up.
Yep. Next one is the final game of the week. Touchdown Jesus versus the Black Widows. I'm not starting Heath Miller, by the way. I'll be starting Greg Olsen. But
that is the slightest edge. The slightest.
Whoever you're starting is not going to be as good as Antonio Gates. I will take the touchdown Jesus, mostly because of your hubris.
okay.
Yeah.
I will take the Black Widows on this one.
I'm gonna take touchdown Jesus here. I think
If you got him later in the season, his lack of depth might catch up for him, but you didn't.
I didn't. You're right. Because his bench is really bad, like really bad.
It's bad, but he's not having to play them. He's
Like,
playing
he
the
has
starters.
nobody. Like if anybody goes down, he has DeAndre Hopkins is fine, I guess.
I'm predicting a big week from your wide receivers, by the way. I think that's the only reason. I think they have some good matchups. I'm going to call it a tub thumping.
So I got Peyton at Seattle, which is not good.
Come on. If he's a robot. He just throws
In the Super Bowl,
Boring,
he wasn't a robot.
boring touchdowns.
I'll say this is the best wide receiver matchup between two teams we're likely to see all season.
It really is. It really
Calvin
is.
Johnson, Des Bryant, and T.Y. Hilton versus Jordy Nelson, Brandon Marshall, and Percy Harvin.
Yeah, it's
Yick.
pretty good.
I don't know. T.Y.
Yick.
Hilton is almost. T.Y. Hilton's going to be the freshman at the senior prom on
Yeah,
that
one
one.
of these is not belong.
I don't know. He got a lot of targets last week. It seemed like they really liked him. You know, he's up and
He
coming.
gets targets. He just never catches them.
Yeah, he has the dropsy.
The question is Percy Harvin going to be able to get points, you know, once they go up by 40 points and they just run it the rest of the game?
I think the question comes down to do either one of my running backs actually score a touchdown because my running back situation is not good. Who should I start at running back here? Brett Jackson versus San Diego, Sean Green at Cincinnati. That's not a good one.
Why do you even own Sean Green? I think
You know
we
what?
discussed
You
him
know
at
what?
length.
I'm changing it to touchdown Jesus.
Yeah, there you go.
You
Get on
suck,
board.
Merrill.
You suck.
All right. I do suck. It's true. Okay.
Sean
Well,
Green, what are you doing?
Then I'm going to pick me. That way, when I win, I can say, "Ha ha, I won." I don't know. I can say, "Ha ha, Clinton Dix, I won," and we can move on. So that's going to do it for the podcast.
Can we ever?
We're going to move on from this awful podcast
Let's.
until next week. So, gentlemen, appreciate you joining us.
I
Anthony,
thought it was a good one.
Yeah, we're moving
Yeah.
forward. You know, we're starting to hit that mid-season stride that we're known for. You know, that runner
arguably the best podcast I've done all day, honestly.
It was a little long, like Vincente Shanko, but it was a Shanko podcast. But we get through them.
We Shankoed it. Yep. Whatever happened to that
Shankoed.
guy, by the way?
He went into pornography.
Is he still on that sex boat in Minnesota? Anyway, all right. Gentlemen, thanks
Sex
for
boat
joining.
sailed into the sky, like the Valkyries of old, you know, just directly into the clouds. And he joined, you know, the halls of Schlong Heroes.
Poor Anthony.
It's like
Poor
Viking helmets, but it's just dildos.
Before the Schlong Heroes.
It's like a giant earthworm.
This is Mike, and we will talk to you guys later.